Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. In just a bit, I am headed out the door to check out the new indie horror comedy, Your Monster. So what's the plot of this movie? Well, it tells the story of a woman who is recouping in the hospital from surgery for cancer. And while she's in the hospital, her boyfriend breaks up with her. She moves back to her childhood home, which is vacant at the time, so she can just kind of get some time alone. And while she's there, her childhood monster that used to live under her bed and closet decides to come out, talk to her, and help her work out these issues that she's having with her relationship. Guys, this looks like a really fun, funny film. It is directed and written by Caroline Lindy, and it's starring Melissa Berea and Tommy Dewey. This looks like a really fun little indie film, and I know I wasn't going to get out there and do any more movie reviews this weekend, but this film really resonated. I thought it looked like a lot of fun, and you guys know how much I love a good indie film. So you know what? It's enough of me sitting here yammering on. It is time for me to get out the door because I need to go see Your Monster. Welcome back, just getting home, and guys, I really enjoyed this movie. I laughed my ass off in this film. So let's get this started, shall we? I don't really have any negatives this time around. I will say that this is one of those movies that doesn't necessarily wrap everything up in a big red bow for you at the end of it. So if you're somebody who doesn't like semi-ambiguous endings where it just kind of leaves a little bit of the story up to you to decide how it all worked out, you might be a little bit annoyed by the end of this film, but it doesn't ruin the movie by any means. You still have an absolute blast up till the very end if that's not something you enjoy. Other than that, guys, I had a lot of fun with this movie. So let's get this started into the positive. The first thing I want to talk about is our cast. At least our two lead actors, Melissa Berea and Tommy Dewey, are excellent together. Their chemistry as the woman Laura and Monster is outstanding. You love these two together. And I mean, they are kind of lifelong friends. They do know each other. Well, at least Monster knows her quite well. And he works as a really good conscience, I guess you could say, to her. They work together on trying to get over her ex, and I really love the parts where it's just the two of them together talking. Those softer moments between the two of them were things I really enjoyed seeing. I didn't really care so much for the whole story, like what was going on outside of the world with her character, but I really enjoyed everything that happened with those two that were together. And I'm not saying that the story beyond those two together is bad. It's really good. It's just that the chemistry between the two is so wonderful, you don't really want to see anybody else in this movie. You're like, this isn't as funny as when those two are together. Let's go back to the two of them like making cupcakes and stuff like that. That's a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed those moments in the film. Just those nice moments where the two of them are just together, learning about each other, building a relationship, and shit-talking her ex. This film also has a really good way of storytelling. I like the way that throughout the entire film, you're not 100% sure if the monster is real or not. The film never really gives you any kind of concrete evidence either way. You sit there and you think about it and you're like, I don't think anyone else ever saw the monster but her, but there are moments where the monster is in public, it's just that nobody's paying attention to him. But there are also clues that you're given before the monster shows up that some of this could possibly be a figment of her imagination. Not to mention all of the trauma and everything she went through with going through cancer and treatment and surgery and then being dumped, then coming back home to an empty house. So maybe she did kind of build all of this up in her head, or maybe there really was a monster living in her house. You never really know, and I like the way the film really keeps you guessing throughout the entire thing. There is also a really solid message here about being a victim of toxic relationships. Now, this film is told by a very female perspective, but I do feel that if you're anybody who's been in a very toxic, really nasty kind of relationship that did not end well whatsoever, especially if it's a relationship where things were very one-sided, you are going to understand a lot of what she's going through. And what I mean by one-sided is mostly like emotionally one-sided. Like, for instance, at the beginning of the movie, it's to let you know that she's helping her boyfriend work on this play and giving a lot of input and really supporting him all the way through. And then once he's got his success, once he has his play and it's going to be performed, she becomes sick and spends a year in the hospital, in and out of the hospital. And during that time, he realizes, oh, gee, this is a whole lot of work, and decides to bounce. And so she's left holding the bill for all of this, basically. So if you have been in a relationship where it's very one-sided, where you're the motion giver and you don't really get a whole lot in return, you're going to understand these themes, even though it is told from a very female perspective. But I do feel it's extremely relatable for anybody who's been in a relationship like this. All in all, guys, this was a very well-made movie. I had a really good time with it. Now, even though Halloween isn't a massive theme in this, there is some Halloween moments. So if you're somebody who would like to go see a Halloween film that doesn't have a lot of blood and guts or scares or anything like that, it's more of a comedy with a really fun story that you learn a little bit about, with some great characters and some excellent acting in this film, then this is definitely a movie for you. And let's face it, I haven't seen Venom, but I've seen the reviews, and it does not sound like things are going too good over there for Sony's Spider-Man stuff. There's Spider-Man with no Spider-Man. So if you want to go see a movie this weekend and your monster is showing in your area, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that, in my opinion, and again, I haven't seen Venom, but I think this is the movie that should be seen this weekend. Because come on, why give your hard-earned cash to some big studio Sony when you can give it to a nice little independent filmmaker who made a nice, fun little movie with a lot of great elements in it? Well, okay, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.